I'm Mark Kelly in Toronto. Colleges and universities around the world are in a race now to recruit international students, and Canada is all in. So why the race? Well, post-secondary schools in this country charge international students 5 times the tuition domestic students pay for the same education. And we investigated and found what international students are told and what they're sold is a far cry from the Canadian dream they thought they were paying for. This is the Fifth Estate. These international students came to Canada full of hope. They were lured here with the promise of a better future.
On 17th of May, they sent us an official email from Alpha College. No one else. They are saying that we are unable to give you seats.
Instead, they're outside their college in Toronto, claiming they've been lied to.
We need explanation.
Sold a second-rate school experience.
We come from our country to here with lots of dreams, with lots of hope. Like we think that college is our family. If college don't think about us, then who will think?
And they want Canadians to know their... Singh says in his village alone, some 300 young people have left to study abroad. They take with them the hopes and dreams of those they've left behind, with no guarantee of success. 19-year-old Dilpreet talks to her parents every day to ease the loneliness and the pressure to succeed. Do you feel that pressure, though? That you don't want to disappoint your parents?
I don't want to say, yeah, I do feel the pressure. We have to say something to them to console them and to say, no, don't worry, Dad, I'm fine, I'm doing good. So that's kind of lie, but...
Why do you have to lie?
Because we don't really want them to be depressed. We don't really want them to cry for us because they sent us here to have a great life.
Instead, like many, she feels they were sold a lie. The face of Canada's colleges is changing. Over the last 5 years, the number of international college students has more than doubled. Most are from rural India, enrolled in small career colleges, and many are struggling to make it.
My course is tourism,
Computer programming.
nursing leadership and healthcare management.
Before they even step into a classroom, newly arrived international students like these line up for social insurance numbers so they can get a job. Their parents' hard work only covers a portion of their costs.
I'm here to get my SIN number, and I'm waiting here from 6:30.
And finding a job isn't easy either. Dilpreet needed work so badly, she took a job in a plastics factory 100 kilometers from where she's living.
Like, it's too far from my home, so they provide ride. So it takes around 2 hours to go there, and it takes 2 hours to come back. So it's like 12 hours of work, 4 hours of like traveling, so it's like 16 hours in total. And I have to manage my college, I have to manage my home and everything.
And finding a home in a red-hot real estate market puts even more pressure on these students. There's little available, little affordable, making them an easy mark for unscrupulous landlords. Dilpreet went from an only child in India to sharing a crowded house of students she'd never met before.
So we are just 1 floor, and we are 9 people on that floor. In the basement, it's like 6 people in the basement, so it's like 15 people in just one house, which is crazy. It's like too messy and it's like too congested.
Who are the 6 people in the basement?
So they are all students.
But as for their private partners, most of their programs have not yet been subject to an independent quality assurance audit. Anne Ginn and Christina DeCarry are teachers at St. Lawrence College. They say there are so many reasons why international students struggle to keep up in school.
Several of them living in certain circumstances where they can't necessarily even have a bed, let alone a desk, sharing a computer.
Don't have a bed?
Yeah, yes.
They sleep in shifts.
Yeah.
They sleep in shifts.
Some of them do, yes.
Some of them do. So you're not necessarily renting a bedroom, you're renting a bed, and that bed is not yours 24 hours a day, it's yours 8 hours a day.
Well, I've spoken with one recruiter who says, look, the game now is about numbers, numbers, numbers.
Except that they're people. They are individuals. They are young people who are, they're embarking on a dream, on a journey.
If they come to class and they haven't eaten, then they're not going to learn. If they've stayed up all night to do a night shift because their boss told them and they didn't want to say no, they're falling asleep in class. Or if they're facing some kind of other stress like homesickness or being exploited by a landlord, these things all come to the classroom. And so when you're teaching, you're not just teaching the material, you're teaching the people who are there, and you have to face these challenges in order to help them learn.
So
nobody had a plan for those numbers at all, right? But the gist of it is the focus has been numbers driven, numbers, and that's all literally that anyone cares about, right? Is how many international students can we pack in and how much money can we get?
Earl Blaney runs an immigration and advocacy group. He says the international student gold rush started 10 years ago after the federal government declared Canada needed more skilled immigrants. Since then, in Ontario, for example, public colleges saw a 15% decline in domestic student enrollments, but a 342% growth in international student enrollments. I want to learn more about the role of the colleges in all of this, and how have you seen their appetite for international students change over the past decade?
Their appetite is insatiable. They're doing everything they can to find more ways to bring in more students. Their lobby is more students. So that's kind of how the industry has changed. It's gone from international students, like, let's really make the best of this. Let's do what the policy says, to let's pack them in, right? And so that's how the industry has changed, and it's pretty ugly.
Ugly in many ways. Many Canadian colleges are overwhelmingly reliant on money from international students to stay afloat, with little attention given to the quality of the education they're paying for. Just like these agents charge students fees for their services, but they're also paid by Canadian colleges to recruit students, as much as $2,000 for each student who enrolls. We wanted to see what promises the agents were making students and their parents. This father and son, who were interested in a Canadian education, agreed to wear a hidden camera as they met agent after agent.
ਸੈਕੰਡ ਈਅਰ ਲਈ ਕੋਈ ਉੱਥੇ ਕੰਮ ਵਗੈਰਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਮਿਲ ਜਾਏਗਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕਰਕੇ
ਸੈਕੰਡ ਈਅਰ ਦੇ ਸਟੂਡੈਂਟ ਆਰਾਮ ਨਾਲ ਕੱਢ ਲੈਂਦੇ ਤੇ ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਆਰਾਮ ਨਾਲ ਕੰਮ ਕਰ ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਕੋਈ ਟੋਰਾਂਟੋ ਤੋਂ ਪਹੁੰਚੂ ਕੰਮ
Easy? Far from it. An international student would need to work at least 50 hours a week at minimum wage to cover their cost of tuition and living expenses. And many are sending money home as well. The father then asks about a well-established college in Toronto, but the agent directs him to a little-known career college.
ਮੈਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਦੱਸੋ ਵੀ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਜੌਬ ਦੀ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਚਾਂਸ ਹੈਗੇ ਬਿਜ਼ਨਸ ਦਾ ਸਟੱਡੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ ਬਿਜ਼ਨਸ
ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਆਰਾਮ ਨਾਲ ਕਿਤੇ ਵੀ ਆਫਿਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਪਲਾਈ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ
ਅੱਛਾ ਜੀ ਓਕੇ
Hanson College is likely paying that agent a higher commission. When contacted, the school wouldn't confirm either way. Then another agent with a big promise.
ਜੇ ਤਾਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਕਿ ਇੱਥੇ ਟੋਰਾਂਟੋ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਘੱਟ ਚਾਂਸ ਹੈਗੇ ਨੇ ਪੀਣ
ਉਹਨੇ ਇਸ ਟਾਈਮ ਤੇ ਸਵੇਰ ਤੋਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਬੁਰੀ ਗੱਲ ਆ
ਅੱਛਾ
Again, not so easy. There are currently more than 250,000 people in a backlog waiting for their permanent residency to be approved. Even after the father and son left the agent's offices, They were approached on the street by other recruiters. In this cutthroat competition, they'll promise almost anything to get some business. Kids have to protest. They're paying for their own exploitation.
It's distasteful. I have no patience for it. It's not what the program was designed for. It's designed to provide an education to students and to benefit Canadian communities, not to allow sham operations to open up to financially abuse innocent students who have in their mind what Canada could be, only to be let down because they've been sold a false bill of goods.
So the students have been heard, but their fight is far from over.
I think that we're going to be looking back at this in 20 years.
And how will we look back on this?
Well, just like it's like a scar, like an exploitation of this specific group of young people. I think it's unethical to recruit someone when they're not going to be able to succeed.
As for Dilpreet, she's learned some hard lessons about being an international student in Canada.
After all this protesting and everything happened, this experience, it really made us feel like they just want our money and they just want us to give money and like again and again and get rich, filling their pockets and don't really care about us at all.